Hello, Comp and Lit 4 students. This is Mr. Ryden coming to you from my classroom at the high school. I can't wait to have class in here with you folks. But for right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the final draft for your compare contrast shopping essay. So that, of course, is in the writing. It's the top folder here, compare contrast. Now, this right here, when you click on it, you're going to go in and you're going to see that the rubric is down here on a link. And you're going to see the template right here, which is where, well, I'm sorry, this won't be right here for you. It's right up here for somewhere on yours for where you actually type in. It's just like you've done before. So I'm going to go through this rubric with you and review some of the stuff we've already talked about and kind of go step by step with the rubric of how you're going to get graded on it. And then I'm going to make a separate short video about how to do the hyperlink section. So if you want to know how to do that, you'll see a separate video for that uploaded as well. It's just something I know a lot of people might need to refer to really quickly. So I'm making it as a separate little piece there. So first off, what I want to point out is that you're going to have your MLA essay template. It's going to look just like that one that you started the second draft on that I shared with you. The reason why I do this is because Schoology and Google Docs don't always play very nice, so I have to create a different thing for everything. So this is set up just like that last one, but you don't need to necessarily go through and redo everything like we did before. Instead, I am just going to go to my draft 2, which is, this is my made up one. It's much shorter than yours is supposed to be because you should have 5 paragraphs. It should be about 500 words or so. And I was going to press Control A, and this selects everything except for the header. Doesn't select that, you notice. And I'm going to press Control C so that it copies it. And I'm going to go back into here, and I'm going to press Control A again because I'm going to highlight, I'm going to cover up everything on here and get rid of it. I'm going to press Control V. And then there you'll see that it has pasted everything on there, and I don't need to redo all that stuff. The one thing I do need to redo, though, is I need to go up here to the header, and you'll see that's still normal. You can't copy and paste that with the whole document anyway. You can copy and paste it separately. But I'm going to undo this one because this is the template, and I don't want to mess it up for other people. So we're just going to look at mine here, but pretend that's on that final one. Okay? So let's take a look then at the rubric. Now, I'm going to add in the Schoology rubric. It takes like an hour or so to create them, and I'm just still creating for it. So you're going to see in between here a big thing, just like on other assignments where it has like 7 points for this and blah, 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 blah. I just think that makes it easier for me to grade and for you to see in Schoology what I gave you grades on. But these, I think, are much easier to read, the one that I created as a doc, because it's organized the way I want it to organize, and it's in separate sections. So let's talk about the first section right here. You'll notice this is worth 50 points total. I made this worth 50 points total because there's a lot of little tasks to do with it, but also we're coming up on the end of the quarter here, and I want this to be worth a lot of points so that you can get caught up. And some of you that are really behind in grades, this will give you a really good chance to invigorate your grade and bring you back up some letter grades, and then you can get to other work that you're missing. But definitely don't skip this assignment because it is going to be worth a significant portion of your grade for this quarter. So as you go through and look here, so this is 50, so that means all these points are worth double percentage-wise for this assignment. So right here, worth 5 total points, 10%, a letter grade of your entire essay, is stuff that's largely done for you already. So this is kind of a free 10% for me as long as you don't screw up the formatting. So you've got a heading, which is all that stuff, the MLA heading with your full name, the instructor's title, all that stuff at the very beginning. Title, header, margin spacing, and font. So all your font, just make sure you don't copy and paste. Like if you're copy and pasting a quote from a website, use Control-Shift-V because that copies with the formatting in here and it doesn't screw it up. I even go through and I'll press Control-A, and then I'll go through and I'll make sure that I have 12 Times New Roman. And then I'll even go into, got to move my little face there, go into the spacing here, and I'm going to make sure that it's all double spaced and everything. Before I turn it in to make sure I get all those points. 1-inch margin should be set unless you change that somehow. Fonts should be black, 12-point Times New Roman, all that other stuff. Your title should be centered and not in quotes and not in bold or anything like that. So there you go. Next is citation. All right. This is a significant part of the points. It's 20 points total, which means it's 16 points total, which means it's 32% of your final grade for this essay. So this is an important section here. At least 2 direct quotes and at least 2 passages that are paraphrased. Now, I expect that you will use many more than 2 of each. You'd probably use more like 10 or 15 citations. And I'll get to talking about why as we get into there. And that's because of this section right here, that any fact or figure that you wouldn't know off the top of your head, that you wouldn't just know about this thing, that you would need to have researched somewhere, that needs to be cited where you got it from. Okay. And then all parenthetical citations are formatted correctly. And we're going to look at all that right now, this whole section right here. So the difference between a quote, so like this one right here is quote, it's direct quote. It's from this article, this imaginary article that I made up, but it comes from there. And then so like this one right here, though, see, it has a citation, but it is not quoted. So it is in my own words. This isn't how it was written in the article, right? So you need to do that a couple times for each one. You need to have a couple in quotes and some not. But you got to think about this, that every single thing that is a fact, it needs to be cited. So that's why you're going to have a lot of these in-text citations. So right here, for instance, you're going to skip the Amazon.com 1995. That's going to be hyperlinked. You're not going to use a source for that. And that's going to be that other video. And it's another point on this rubric. But it uses a 10-watt amp. I am not going to tear apart the amp and look at it and say, I know this for sure. I'm not the one who built it. So I've got to reference whoever wrote the article about it that told me that it was a 10-watt amp. Now, that's really good for the price. That's my own opinion, okay? It doesn't have to be cited. And then in an article on I don't know what's his phone. This is a made-up draft I did, so there's a lot of weird inconsistencies. But I say once again here that the author says this about that right there, that the body is made of sturdy plastic. I don't know that it's made that way. I'm researching that. That's where I give them credit. This is helpful since a Bluetooth speaker is often taken outdoors and there's greater risk for being damaged. That's all my opinion. Once again, the charge doesn't last very long according to this one right here. I could really say it doesn't last very long and then cite my fact on the next thing that it only plays for 3 hours on a charge. Then I have my quote where that came from, my citation where that came from. But then I have my opinion here. That's definitely not long enough to last. Even all that is my opinion as well. So anything that you would have had to take from the website, you got to throw in an in-text citation or a parenthetical. And anytime it's your opinion, you don't. It's just that simple. Now let's talk a little about what they're supposed to look like, how the actual format is, and what is the correct formatting for that. So if I am just using an author in here, like this one, the author Butts, right? I make sure that I have, you notice there is no punctuation right here. It's just a space and then in parentheses, and then this period is after the parentheses. It's very important it goes that way. This is all part of that sentence, and there's no punctuation needed before it because it is in parentheses. So on this other one, in this article on it's going to drive me crazy, speaker, author Butts says the body is made of sturdy plastic. I am going to, see, this is in quotes right here. So what I want to point out is that it has a space after it, no punctuation inside the quotes right there. And then you go over here and then it's a space after the quotes end. And then you have in parentheses your citation of the last name of the author. Okay. Now, what if I don't have a title or an author and instead I'm using the title of the article? So you should be citing with whatever is furthest left on the works cited entry that you can use. So when I go down there I found Butts. Now I know where that article came from as a reader, and I can find that resource if I want to, right? Then if I don't have an author, though, or maybe if I had 2 articles by the same author, then I can't use the author's name because that's not going to direct me to it, and I have to go over to the next thing that is the first thing that's original, which is the title. So in this case, I don't have to put this whole thing, but I do want to put at least part of it. So I put 12 Nokia 7.2 review up there. But because it's in quotes down here, it goes in quotes up there. If you didn't have a quote and it was instead in something in italics, you'd do the same thing. So I go up here and I look, sure enough, there I have according to, and then it is in quotes because it is from a quote. The charge doesn't last very long. It'll play for 3 hours on a charge. And then in the parentheses, notice how the quotes are included. Once again, no punctuation before, and then the ending punctuation of the sentence, a period in this case, goes afterwards. Okay, so that is a big section of points. It's really pretty easy once you get into a mode with it and you think, okay, I took it from this article. This is what I put at the end. Or if I say the name during this, because this one actually is a little redundant. In this article on the speaker, author Butts says, blah, 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 blah. I don't actually need that there because I already said the name. So I could actually get rid of this and put the period in here. Or I could take the name of I could take out the author says here, and it just could be In an article on the speaker, it states the body is made of sturdy plastic, and then that's how I find that. Okay. Next up, moving right along. So I'm going to go down to the hyperlink thing. I'm going to talk about in the next video I'm going to make here. So that'll be posted as well. Your Works Cited page. Here is how you get points taken off, or how you get points for your Works Cited page. To get all the points, all 4 need to be correctly formatted. I'm a little bit loose on correctly formatted, as I've mentioned in the previous video and in class. Whenever you get to a college class where you're going to need to use a Works Cited page, you really have to figure out where your professor is at on that. Because, for instance, in MLA, right now, I think you are supposed to include the URL at the end of your entry, whereas a few years back we didn't, and it's kind of flipped back and forth a few times. Actually, it could be 10 years ago. I can't remember, but like your professors tend to be stuck in the way they learned it. So some of them learned it in the 90s, and they still use a URL. And for a while they were wrong because we stopped using them, and now they're using them again, or they're using it correctly again because it caught up with them. The Times did, but so you just really want to see what your professors want in college. And the other reason why I'm not that worried about being perfect formatting is I just want you to get the idea that you have to follow a rule when you're citing where something came from, because in life in general, when you are talking about something that came from somebody else, you want to cite where it came from. You want to be honest. You want to be ethical. But you don't always need to put a works cited entry in a conversation. And even if you're at a job where you have to do certain types of citation or sources and stuff like that, they're going to have their own quirky way of doing it that you're going to need to learn. So learning my way for this class isn't something that needs to be burrowed into your brain as much as just the idea that you have to figure out the way it's supposed to be done for the thing that you're doing. So correctly formatted, in other words, just use easybib.com and use what they give you and just make sure that you have the right stuff in italics and the right stuff in quotes. You need to have at least 4 of them, and then you're good. You've got all those points. If your formatting is all screwy, like it has to be really bad for me to take points off for this one, because I just don't care that much. Honestly, I just want to know that you gave it the old high school try. Then you would lose a couple points. If you're short, 1 works cited, if you only have 3, I'm going to take half your points away right there. If you have less than 3, you're not going to get any of these points. All those points are gone, all 8 of them, which is 16% of your grade for this essay. And then these last little 3 points right here are pretty simple. There is a title on there, which I already added to that document for you. So there is another 2% for me for free. There's a hanging indent, which is that inverted indent on the lines following the first one, and that they are in alphanumeric order. So down here you see, where is it? Just keeps not wanting to show up. There, works cited is centered. And they are a hanging indent. That's why every second and third and et cetera lines are indented, but the first one is not. And they are in alphanumeric order, which means numbers first, and they go in numerical order. And then anything alphabetical goes next, B to R, as you see there. And I believe ats and hashtags and stuff, I think those are all at the very end. A quick Google search would tell you the answer to that one. And most of you, if not all of you, are not going to run into that as a necessity. Okay, and finally, introduction and conclusion, that you have an attention getter, that you have a link and a thesis statement, and I will show you my example again. It could not be simpler in this case to do these. And then at the conclusion, you have a 2-sentence conclusion paragraph that restates the thesis and then has some kind of clinching closer. So here is my attention getter. Imagine you are at a party, but there is no music. Okay, that works. It's drawing people in. I'm creating a story. Isn't that lame? So it doesn't have to be 2 sentences. Mine just kind of is 2 short ones. With a Bluetooth speaker, you can add music to the great outdoors. Now that is linking my first part. And now I'm introducing, I'm talking about Bluetooth speakers. Get it? That's why the attention getter said that. And then I'm going to go into my thesis statement where I'm going to make a very plain thesis, which is very limited and gives my position on the topic. So the Frosby Mega 3 speaker is superior. That's my position on it, to the Blugel Snort Tubular Speaker Experience, which is totally a real product out there that you can buy. So that is a very limited topic. There's not too much I can write. It's not suggesting a greater topic. It's a very nice, narrow topic. So it's an easy thesis to write. So for you, it'll be whichever product is better than the other one that you chose to write about. Okay. And then my conclusion paragraph just has to be 2 sentences. It can be this long. You can add more to it if you want, but this is all you need at a minimum. I'm going to restate my thesis first. Comparing the different charge times and amperage of these 2 speakers shows a clear winner, the Frosby Mega 3. Okay, that's restating the thesis, but I put it in a different way. And then a clincher of some kind is so easy. You just think of like a tagline for a commercial for your thing. So order one before your next outdoor hangout event. Or if you're trying to talk about one car versus another, like, so get the Mustang whatever, and then let your hair fly in the wind, just whatever as a nice clincher to talk about using the product. It's a good way to kind of close that out. And then, of course, length, minimum of 500 word length for this assignment. You need to go over that, obviously. And remember, that counts for the body of your essay. It does not include any of this, and it does not include any of this stuff right here. So you've got to highlight your actual essay. Like I'm clicking there, and I'm going to press Shift and click here, highlight my body of my essay, Control Shift C. Ooh, 197 words is all I got. I need to write some more than that, don't I? Mr. Ryan's going to take a bunch of points away from me. Okay, so that is that. This is your your essay that's due this Friday. If you're having any trouble with this, let me know. Of course, as I mentioned on here, and I'm going to do a separate little video about this too, but we're getting towards the end of the quarter. If you're having trouble with any assignments or you want to make up some stuff, you want to talk to me, email me, message me. We can meet after 1:10 any day of the week, or we can also meet on Friday sometime. And because I have a lot more free during the virtual Fridays on that. And then this quarter is over next Friday, so your grades are going to be going in. So make sure that you're not, failing any classes. All right, I'm going to see you all soon. I'll see you later. Okay, bye. Oh, no, I don't want to. I almost threw my whole video away. All right, now bye for real.